presentation, we'll be picking your brains about next steps and all of that. So thanks, Karen, for joining us.
Okay, we're just miking up here so that all of you on the GoTo can hear me as well. Let us know on the GoTo meeting, folks that have joined us, let us know if you are having problems hearing, and we can try and adjust that. But again, welcome, welcome. Do most of you know one another in the room, or should we take a moment and go around? Should we just do names? How about we do names and districts, of course, where you're from this morning. We'll start on this end. And over here. Who was just wonderfully terrific in helping us coordinate this event for you today. So thank you so much for having me here, Debbie and Tana. I appreciate your interest and enthusiasm, as well as the opportunity to be able to have some time with the ladies here. Just so you know a little bit about how the flow of the day will go. As you're enjoying your lunch, and those of you at your desk remotely, hopefully you're enjoying your lunch as well while we have this conversation. We're talking about reading. We're talking about an opportunity. As Debbie mentioned previously, Dr. Barnes had attended a district administrator summit, a leadership summit that a lot of the superintendents are invited to throughout the year. District administrator, if you're familiar with that publication, comes out to your school districts, and they, throughout the year, will invite superintendents to come to a leadership summit where they have the opportunity in a very informal way to learn about new innovations. And so Dr. Barnes did attend that in Phoenix a couple of months ago. And then right after that, we had the NCCE conference up in Seattle. And I actually really enjoyed having Tana come by my booth at that conference. And as often at conferences, people are fly-by because it's a little bit like a circus, and it can be a little overwhelming. And Tana actually stopped, and she said, this is really interesting, and I want to know more about it. And so we spent quite a bit of time having a conversation. And when she told me where she was from here in Vancouver, I said, oh my goodness, your superintendent was just at our district administrator or the conference for district administration. So that led to this meeting. And as you may or may not know about Capstone as a that's where it kind of launched from. So as we spend some time this morning talking about Capstone Digital, about our online My Reader program. I'm going to talk to you a little bit of an overview about the program, show it to you live, and then we're going to talk about the free summer reading program that is being offered complimentary to the ESD districts. And we'll talk through some of the pieces of information that's in your packet. Those of you that are remotely joining us today, we will have those packets coming out to you this week. Through the ESD, so not to fear, you will be receiving all that information as well as our little goodie bags that we have going home with everybody today. So we'll get started, and just maybe some interesting information to hear, maybe a raise of hands. How many of you in the room are familiar with Capstone as a publisher? So most everybody, that's great. Capstone has been in publishing for well over 30 years and is the largest library publisher in the United States. Some of you may be familiar with some of the titles that are and some of the imprints that are under Capstone, such as Capstone Press and Compass Point Books, Heinemann Raintree, both fiction and nonfiction books. So really a well-loved publisher. the goodie bags you have today is a nice little bag of about $100 worth of our paperbacks, all different titles of our paperbacks that live in our digital solution, MyOnReader, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. I know that as we start talking about reading, aware of what the research is telling us. We know that from the Annie E. Casey Foundation and through a lot of other research that's being done in literacy today, students are not reading on grade level by grade 3, that they are really on a much more greater risk that puts them in dropout, on a risk of dropping out. And so, as we look at different ways that we can provide content and literacy to students, especially as we're all moving towards Common Core criteria, and Common Core are calling for text being central to everything we do across the content areas. So that was as Capstone moved towards their digital resources as a publisher that is responding to what our students need, not only in alignment with Common Core criteria, but also providing content that will be able to be personalized to every student. You think about today, as we talked about just a moment ago, the need for students to have lots of different content across the curriculum and them being at risk in failure of dropout increases. Especially in those early
KEH, so if you go to, do you see the very first window on the back wall?
yes.
That top shelf, the end of the top shelf, and the first part of the second shelf. You're welcome. She writes great stuff. Excellent.
And on the bottom, where the grades, first grade through 12th grade, or preschool through 12th grade. And as we think about where students are today in all of our districts, we already know there's a gap. We already know SAT, military, different exams, for citizenship, for workplace, for community college. Students coming into community college right now,
Here.
25 students that are entering community college that are taking remedial coursework. At the university level, it's between 12 and 15.
You guys are actually meeting in your classroom, my dear. You can leave your stuff and then just go down there.
Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate your patience as your new folks are here. It's almost time for your lunch. Yeah, you guys will be down here. Finally.
So I clicked, it was on telephone. Okay, you want to use mine?
University level, we need to be more closer to 14 to 1700 lexile in order for them to be able to comprehend that text. So we have a gap that is. You can see where the greatest level.
It could be the question, sir.
That is preschool up to about 4th, 5th grade. That's, I call this your 401.
Thank you, sweetie. Look at.
You have to invest early in order for students to be on target. When we think about text complexity, and that means a wide variety of things to a lot of us, and I cover 3 states or 4 states in my region: Oregon, Washington, Hawaii, and Alaska. And the time that I spend in classrooms talking to teachers, especially as Common Core in all these states is starting to roll out a little differently, and teachers are like, well, what is text complexity, and how do I make sure that I've got every kid in my classroom at the right level of complexity and continually address their complexity changes as their reading ability changes. That's pretty tough to do today, especially without technology. When we think about how our teachers assess our students at the beginning of the school year, how many of our teachers are having to pull students out into the hallway while the while an assistant teacher or an assistant stays in the classroom doing, activities with the other group, while the teacher is one-on-one with the student, listening to them read in order to determine where their reading ability lies. Incredibly time intensive when you think about the time that a teacher has to be able to assess those students in their classroom and be able to provide that. So in order for our kids to be college and career ready, we really need to be thinking about the tools and the resources that we can use. This is Anderson back from when I was in school actually, but this is talking about a 5th grade student and how it equates to their reading achievement and the percentile, the ranking percentile that we want students to be at. So in the minutes, and how that equates to, equals to the minutes per day of text that the students are reading, and how many words that's going to be over the course of a year. When we want our kids, I think about the kids that are in maybe that 50 percentile, and I call those the flyby readers, or maybe it's the cereal box in the morning. We all know about how the research that talks about print materials in the home, and whether or not our families are coming from well-educated backgrounds or high poverty backgrounds, a lot of times will determine the amount of print materials available in the home. So as Capstone was looking at ways that we can increase it, trying to get our kids motivated, motivation being a really key piece to reading more. And how do we do that? We want them all to be in the 98th percentile, so they need to be reading at least an hour per day. Today's model for reading books in schools, when you think about today's model, and last night I listened to the world news every night, and one of the main stories last night was, on the new movement that's going across the country now in school districts, BYOD or BYOT. Bring your own technology, bring your own device. Now we're starting to tell kids and recognize, you know what, these are our digital natives. They're used to their devices. They want to use their devices. We're telling them they can't bring their devices. They can't use their devices. But that's what they're excited about. Will they jump on the internet and Google something, or will they go to the library and really do that research that they need to do in order to have an understanding of what they're reading? And we think about the ways that we are connecting students to data and connecting them to information or to just text. And our process is somewhat difficult to manage. Even as I've talked to a lot of our librarians and I'm asking them, are you moving to digital technology? Are you starting to purchase e-books in your school district? A lot of the superintendents that I meet with will tell me their vision is to move towards digital resources as a whole, textbooks in every way, more multimedia, more whiteboards in the classroom, document cameras, really helping teachers to transition, and our, librarians to media specialists to transition into that role where technology is being used more and more. Are we seeing that in the school districts that are represented today, maybe with a raise of hands? Yes, I'm seeing a nods of heads that yes, indeed, you're hearing that and you're seeing that. But how do we do it? When you think of a library and you think of a check-in and out system, or you think of how the student looks for the material that they're looking for. I've sat in libraries and I've watched kids come in, and I've watched the teacher and the librarian or the other folks that are in the room helping students identify books that they're interested in. Well, what do you like, Tommy? What kinds of books are you interested in? And here's the area of books that are, set up for you or for your grade level, and you have to choose from those books. And we have a quick time into the library and a quick time out, and those kids have grabbed a couple of books and they've gone home with them. Do we know if they're going to open them? Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. So as well as teachers having the ability to have content available at their fingertips as well. So that model is a little tough. I love this. This is a YouTube video that I'm going to clip in here to real quickly. I'm hoping this is going to work with our Hannah. Can you tell me? Okay, I'm going to try just clicking into it. And I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I'm going to play it just for a minute or two just so you get an idea I love this little cartoon. How do you turn this thing on? Because that really is where our kids are at. All right, I'm going to click into the YouTube video, and I'm going to...
But I can't get it.
Hi, this is Bridger. Say hi, Bridger.
Hey, Bridger.
He is playing with the iPad, and he just turned 2. So, why don't you show us, first of all, draw us a picture.
Nope.
Yeah, draw us a picture, Bridger.
Dinosaur.
No, draw us a picture first.
Okay.
Sweet. I'm excited. Oh.
This?
Yeah.
A red bright one?
Do a new one.
Or a bright one?
Yeah. Why don't you draw a squiggly line? You're so smart, Bridger. Draw us something.
Oh.
Oh, you want to change the background to blue.
Yeah. Blue.
Why don't you show us the stamp, like the car stamp? Or motorcycle stamp.
Okay. You want a dolphin, okay?
You want to find a dolphin?
Yeah.
Okay, you think there is one in there?
Yeah.
Hopefully. Ooh, there's some other animals. Why don't you pick another animal?
Dinosaur.
Ooh, yeah, do the dinosaur.
Is it dinosaur color?
Whoa, nice. Now draw a picture.
Okay.
All right.
Do you like being 2?
Yeah. So the idea, I'm going to get back up to my lost me here. Sorry about that.
What just happened?
Anyway, when you think about it, did you know this little guy? 2. You know, obviously Daddy has spent a lot of time, Mom and Dad have spent a lot of time, but his vocabulary, his ability to use a device at 2. Kids aren't having a problem with this. You know, I may have a problem with this as an adult that likes my paper, but children are not, and our students are not having problems with technology and how they use technology. When we think of technology and how the personalization piece of it can really impact reading, you know, some of the research tells us, you know, the more reading growth. You know, as I said before, with Common Core, and as I'm learning about Common Core and how it's a little bit different than our current standards and how teachers are needing to address content a little bit differently, it's about having access to books. It's about having access. Text is central. Reading is central, and it's all about that and getting enough content into the hands of students. Measuring the complexity of text. As I said before, when you think about how difficult that is for a teacher, especially at the beginning of the school year, and then ongoing, when you think of Common Core saying that not only do students need to have different genres of text at their level of complexity, but we know that if they stay within their zone of proximal reading from at least 75% of the time, that's where you're going to see the largest reading growth happen. And that's what this system does. It provides a system of measurement, and it provides predictive growth for students, for parents, and for teachers and administrators. So as I jump into this program in a few minutes and show you a little bit more about that. Choice is really big. How many of you here use Netflix at home? Netflix is really fun. What I love about it and what I hear my neighbors talk about and tell me about is I get to go in and tell the system what I like. I don't have to peruse through the whole, you know, media center of movies to find movies I like. I tell the system what kinds of movies I'm interested in, and it gives me those movies. Then when I finish reading the movie, I get to rate it and say, I liked it. It was great. You know, and then it will say, if you like that, or it's like an Amazon books, you know, if you like that book, here's more books like it. We're going to give you more. So the system is kind of a smart system. It understands and personalizes. We all like things personalized to us. You know, we like the things that we like. And I think that teachers in the classroom today are constantly asking their students, what do you like? What are your interests? So they can tailor their curriculum around that. Giving students choice and personalizing it. Providing multimedia scaffolds. Another one of the Common Core criteria is that we provide that text complexity at that grade level for the students that are struggling, but we provide them with scaffolds in order for those students to be successful in interpreting and reading that text. So not a watered down version, not a, not a reader that's leveled necessarily, that's high interest, low level, which is something that Capstone really does have a lot of those types of books, but content that's on their level of text complexity that they need to be challenged at with supports. Then also giving them some interactive tools, giving them the ability to respond, to give an opinion, and to have some social networking and scaffolding built in. That's how technology can personalize that experience. In our district administrator panels, and we hold these ongoing throughout the year with our superintendents nationally, a lot of the feedback that we're getting is very common to the feedback that when Debbie and her team did a survey of superintendents in their region and asked them, what are the tools, what are the resources you as superintendents are seeing as a need? What are some of the ways that as an ESD we can support that and we can reach out and help you in some of those tools and what some of your vision and needs are? Technology and e-books was one of the big areas. The need for more appropriately leveled books for all children, and that was cost effective. The need for more nonfiction. When you think about, being able to address not only text complexity, but the need for kids to take a deeper dive and to have different genres and to have content that's of interest to them, but nonfiction, really, really important. Also to have auditory experiences in multiple languages. We know that students, listening fluency is higher when there's audio support and that they have the opportunity to hear content being read fluently at a pace that is on target for that particular lexile is really, really important. And as publishers and, on my side, and I'm learning about Common Core, and one of the statements I read was that students need to have opportunity for listening to text being read out loud both before, during, and after school. How does a teacher do that? How does a teacher do that? When you've got kids in your classroom, if you're a third grade teacher, you may have kids from a 100 lexile up to a 900 lexile in your classroom. So it's really a huge range. So technology is another way to do that. And then how do you measure growth? Typically, I hear most of the time that schools have the ability to check in on that lexile score 3 to 4 times a year. Not as often as it needs to happen because lexiles change. Lexiles drop as well as grow, depending on what kinds of content and how often that student is reading. So the need for measuring is really big. So My Reader was what Capstone developed a little over about 2 years ago. We officially launched My Reader, which is our digital solution, a year ago, January. So now we have over 1 million users on the system. This program has just really taken off. And as we thought about summer coming up, we thought, we really do want to have school districts have the opportunity. So we had the opportunity for each one of our account managers, such as myself, we had the opportunity to offer a region in a regional ESD in our state the opportunity for a complimentary use of My Reader for every single one of your students across the district. And there is no strings attached. There is not a, you must sign on the dotted line that you will purchase at the end of summer. And we'll talk a little bit more about the requirements and the offer after I've shown you a little bit more about the program. But My Reader is about my choice, my books, and my growth. So That's where the name Myon comes from. We also think about not only the personalization of it being mine and mine with Myon, but also on task, on grade level. I don't meet many students, because I love to go in and talk to kids in the classroom or in the library. I don't meet many who tell me that they're happy about not being on grade level or that they don't want to be challenged. Kids want to be challenged, and they want to do the right thing. They want to have the access if they have the ability to read, they want to. And I think that kids, I did a test market of this program in my neighborhood, and I live in a upper income neighborhood with all professionals around me. In fact, 90% of the professionals around me are educators. So really, really interesting as I have teachers and principals around me. So I gathered their kids to my house, and I had them test this system out for me. And what they loved about it was that it was personalized. That was the piece that they really, really liked. So Myon Reader and some of the innovations, not just an e-book. This is not just a digital e-book online, but there is some real significant differences that are built into Myon that makes it very, very different as far as a personal reading network. When the student logs into Myon Reader, the very first thing the student's going to be presented with is an interest inventory. So we're going to ask the student right from the very beginning, what do you like to read? Tommy, do you like to read books that are scary and gross? Do you like books about sports, animals? Cindy, do you like books about biographies? What do you like? And then we're going to, after the student has completed that quick little interest inventory, they are going to then take a quick little Lexile placement. We partner with Metametrics. Metametrics is who created the Lexile, which has been endorsed by Common Core. So all of our books have a benchmark for grades 2 and above. Our younger students do not have a Lexile assigned to them until they hit 2nd grade. However, we do continue to monitor their reading, do them ongoing quick checkups to ensure that they are within that right range of complexity as well. And then we added some safe social networking tools. So once a student reads a book, they get to rate that book on a score of 1 to 5 stars, whether they liked it or whether they didn't like it. And then what's the system going to do? It's going to give them more books like it if they liked it. Then they're going to get to write a little review. Some of our tech-savvy teachers call it a blog or a tweet. So they really feel great about the fact that they get to do something that sounds very cool. And we know that kids like to share their opinion. So the students get to write a little tweet or a blog about that book. And once the teacher has approved that, then it gets posted. But for the sake of summer program, those tools can be turned off because we may not have a teacher during the summer who's going to be looking at those blogs or tweets. So that little piece can be turned off until teachers are back in school, or should a district decide to move forward with Myon Reader, then they can turn those pieces back on. So those are available within the system. As of today, we have 2,200 books that live in Myon. We will be at 3,000 books by the end of this calendar year. So this is a growing library. Every single one of the books that live in Myon are unlimited access. So we completely freed the books, so to speak, and we made the books available to every single student all the time. So we want kids, especially over summer, what we've seen happen is students go home and they share this with family. They share it with brother and sister, or with friends or cousins or whoever that may come over. And we don't want there to be a lockdown system where kids have to check in and out, or there's an unlimited access of numbers of books. So for the we know that some books are really popular in the system, and we want, if every single student wanted to read that same book tonight, they could. For teachers during the school year that use books in their classroom, they can assign books to students, and every single kid can read the same thing tonight. And then tomorrow we could come back and have a discussion. So there's no check-in and out system. All the books have comprehension quizzes. During the summer months, that can be turned off. So that's an optional piece too. If you're familiar with Accelerated Reader, it's an Accelerated Reader type of quiz that's at the end of every book, so it's a comprehension quiz. The growth and the measurement piece in Myon is a real unique feature in Myon Reader. Because we've partnered with Metametrics, we can measure the quantity and the quality of the books that students are reading. We constantly have a measurement on their Lexile. We know how many books they've opened, how many books they've completed. We know what their ongoing Lexile is, whether it's growing or whether it's dropping. We can tell you the time that students have spent reading. And we can tell you what their feedback is on every single book. So lots and lots in your packets I did provide you today with a sample of some of the data and some of the reports. So that's available within the system as well. Lots of different success stories. I'm just going to share these briefly with you. Charleston County, South Carolina started this program last summer. What they saw was a 30% increase, 30 times what the average book was circulating in the system. That book circulated 30 times what had normally circulated than the hardback book within the system. So 330 times it was used more often if it was not online. So students were choosing a book because of the digital format. We know that our kids are engaged that way. So because of that, they were choosing it. Chicago Public started this program for all their Title I schools. And in 1 year, one out of their 37 school pilots had seen a significant increase, up to 32% in their Lexile score. So they had lots of positive feedback from parents about the program, about being able to access it over summer. A story about Hillsborough County School District was really interesting. This started as kind of a grassroots program in their district, with a few of their schools starting this over a summer reading program. Then the Children's Literacy Foundation in Hillsborough County, Florida, also saw this, and they thought how wonderful this would be if they were able to offer it to their preschool students. They, at the time, were giving a hardback book to every single child, birth to 5, every month. They were providing families with books. They didn't know what happened to those books. They just knew that the more print materials in the home, the higher likelihood that they could really transform their literacy landscape in their community. So the Boys and Girls Club, the Children's Literacy Foundation, all different types of community organizations came together along with the school district and said, what if we could offer this program to every child, first through 8th grade is where they started. So a little over a month ago, they came together with the funds, both public and private organizations, and the majority of it, but they decided to launch this program, and now it's serving over 290,000 students, really creating a community of readers. Verizon even came to the table and wired Chapter 8 housing and gave refurbished computers to families that did not have computers in the home. But what we saw was, even where there was high poverty areas, students went to the Boys and Girls Club, or they went to their after-school programs, and they had access to technology. And we found that kids were motivated and they were interested. They wanted to get on and use it. So that's where they've seen 700,000 books read in the last year of reading it in this program. So it's really an exciting process to watch. It's really an exciting, when I think about, school districts today, we all are challenged with budget. Everybody's challenged with budget, no matter where I go. There's never been a school district in the last year and a half that I've stepped into that said, we have more money than we know what to do with. Absolutely not the case. So there has to be, new ways of looking at how to find the right resources, especially the new innovation, lots of new innovation that's coming out and that's happening. and looking at how you can bring your community partners together and how you can have that, I call it a disruptive model, you know, that we find these disruptive models so that we can really change the literacy landscape in our own communities. Literacy is a national issue. It's an issue everywhere we go. Every time I turn on the news and I listen to what the news is telling me, not only about how districts are changing and transforming with technology, but I listen to the fact that we do have jobs available. We just don't have students that are prepared to take those jobs. And that's the part that I hear that and I think, how can this be? How can this be? How can this happen in this country? You know, I know we all are familiar with those stories and hearing some of those statistics come back. And so we need our kids to be reading and motivated to read. I'm going to just show you real quickly again how a student logs in and what happens. And we're going to talk about the Summer Reading Initiative. Capstone launched this because we saw such amazing things happening over the summer. The last 2 summers, the first summer 2 years ago, when we were piloting this out in districts and test marketing it, and we saw, you know, just an enormous amount of reading happening in school districts. And then the use of it all this whole last year for a fairly new program that's out there in the market, it has just really taken off. Of the schools that I opened last year in Hawaii, I had 12 schools that started literally the week before summer. And they had, you know, the school district had some Title I funds left over. They purchased with Title I dollars. These were schools that were not that were in a higher poverty area, and average school being 600-700 kids. It was all elementary schools, and I think we had one middle school as well that also launched last summer. Over that summer, we were so amazed at how much students read. They were basically given their login information just like they would use in any other program to log in with a username and password, went home, sent home parent letters. That's all it took. Kids read. They read an enormous amount of books every summer. The principal, the superintendent of the complex, when we came back in the fall of this last year, were ecstatic, absolutely ecstatic about what kids did. The feedback from parents was incredibly positive. A lot of our public libraries are reducing their hours.
This is an infomercial.
A lot of schools can't afford to run summer school programs.
Oh yeah, you can get it for free in the summer, and it's like
To
you
reduce
just
the
read.
summer slide.
I mean, which is good. You can go
Summer,
right along with something else.
you know, and a tool that's also going to
But they want to hook you, and I imagine for our district
in a
that's
video game.
yeah.
This is one program that can really help with that. So when students log in, the very first thing they're going to do is they're going to take that interest inventory that we talked about. So for our younger students, K through 4 or preschool through 4, they're just going to have some happy faces and sad faces and tell us what they like. And then for our older students, it's going to be on a sliding scale, and they're going to be able to tell us, do they like fiction, nonfiction, graphic novels, scary and gross, animals, history, science, social studies, whatever they like. Lots and lots of genres. Once they are done with that, the system is going to automatically prompt them to take their benchmark. That's not something that you have to take every student.
One thing's cool is they have a Lexile placement test, and
The assessment is blurred in the system. It is part of the
it's
national.
all with the Common Core, you know.
The students are going to be able to log in, automatically take that benchmark. It's a 35-question adaptive test. Once they answer a few questions incorrectly, it locks them out. It takes them out of the system. It gives them a Lexile. It does not belabor them through the whole assessment if they're struggling through it. This is a reading placement, so yes, they're going to be reading it if they're grades 2nd and above. And I do have a question. Okay, I'll repeat the question. Okay. 2nd grade and above, the question was what grade level is the benchmark. The initial placement starts at 2nd grade. So our preschoolers and our 1st grade, our kindergartners and 1st graders are all beginning readers, and they are assigned beginning reader in the system. So they will have a very low Lexile, a 0 to probably 100, 200 Lexile to start. And then as those students continue to read, it will take quick checks on their reading growth, and it will start giving them books as they continue to grow. The student homepage, when the student logs in, they're going to see a home page and they're going to start seeing their book wall. And we're going to mimic some of the language that they're hearing on Facebook and some of the other social platforms, because they hear it from brother and sister, or they hear it from mom and dad, or they may be on it themselves as a student. And we want them to have some universal tools and familiarity, so they will see their book wall here. Some of the books that live in the system, they'll see that they've got 5 pages. You're going to see as you look at the screen, there are a couple of different tabs at the top. So their recommended tab here are the books that are based on their Lexile, 100 points below, 50 points above their specific individual Lexile, and the books that they told the system they're interested in, the topics that they're interested in. That's in their recommended tab. So we're going to encourage students to read in their recommended tab as much as they can. That's where their books, their personal books, live. We want them to have access to all the books in the system. Just like walking into the library, we want them to have access to content that is a higher level content. We want for families to share together, for students to share together. So we want them to have access to every book in the system. There is a teacher's list here. So we have some of our teachers that are using the program this year that have created all their summer reading book lists. And they are assigning book lists over the summer. There's book lists in here that align to Common Core state standards, to STEM, to all different kinds of themes, weather, science topics, lots of different ways to create book sets as a teacher. But if teachers, your teachers won't be involved in this at the beginning for a summer school program, no need to worry about that. The teachers don't have to put book lists in there, but that is there available if in the future teachers are interested. And then there's my list, which is kind of like my favorites. So just like when I walk into Barnes & Noble, I may look through a bunch of books and not want to read it right this moment, but I want to make sure to read it later. So I'm going to put it in my favorites list. When you think about 3,000 books in this system, it's hard to visualize that. That's why I brought some hardback books to sit on the table today and gave you some in your bags. And those of us that are remotely joining us today will receive a bag as well of books, because I wanted you to see some of the content. Capstone
I've been on this page forever.
Books, fiction and nonfiction. Within this system, My Reader, 65, there'll be about 70% nonfiction that will live in My Reader within the next couple of months. Right now, it's right, I think it's at 66%. But it'll be closer to 70% by the end of the calendar year. The books that range in the system are preschool, beginning reader, board books, all the way up through high school. We do have other publishers that we have partnered with. We have Silvendale to offer Spanish content. 10% of our content is Spanish bilingual.
I hope for the summer school program, so you had to sign up for a
publishes
GoToMeeting
and abridged versions of classics, novels, A Tale of Two Cities. So you've got higher level content in here.
Get this, she does the same thing over and over.
Wow.
Wow.
Again, when that student clicks on a book, they're going to see that book open up. They're going to have universal on the bottom of the book so they can navigate through it. Very simple to use. Does not take any training for a student to use this system. We do provide, little demos and tutorials, but not even necessary. Not one time last summer did I receive any call that said a student or a parent had difficulty understanding how to navigate this, but we will have some tools and resources available.
One thing's cool is they've got Sports Illustrated for kids. That'd be fun.
Reading the book, the student can rate and review it. As I said before, those that social networking piece can be turned off during the summer. If there is not someone, or during the school year, if there's not someone available, or the teachers don't want to take the time to preview what the student has written, they can turn that feature off. But if it's turned on, Students love to share opinion. They love to share what they think. This is a way we can help our students learn about safe social networking. This is internal to your school district. This is not out there in the big wide world of the internet. So this is within your school or within your district, depending on the parameters that you set it up. If it's turned on and the teacher can, it comes up on a sheet, the teacher can see it very quickly. Here's the review Tommy wrote. Tommy said, oh, I love that book. It was sick. Okay, Tommy, is sick a good thing or is it bad? And that's always my example because that was my neighbor's comment, that my 10-year-old neighbor said that book was sick. And I said, okay, not everybody knows if that means it's good or it's bad, so let's choose a different word. So, it really helps our kids start to learn what's okay about putting out there. Some of our other teachers that are using this during the school year have asked students to write the main idea so they can print that and make that a part of their portfolio. Lots of different ways to use this. But then once the system sees how they've rated that book, it's going to continue to give the students more books similar to it and continue to prompt them. Every kid loves to be challenged. And I know that one of our, last week I heard from one of my schools, I have a Buddhist academy in Hawaii that's using this. And, oh, I apologize, that is me. I'll just turn that off. That uses this, and what she told the students is it's like a video game, that their score, she calls it their score instead of their Luxile, is XYZ at the beginning of the school year, and their challenge is to beat the game and beat the system and raise the score. So the student actually can see their own growth charts. They can log in and they can see their growth chart in their profile. They can see their own reading activities as well as the parent. They can see what their interest is. They can change their interest inventory anytime they want. And there's even an avatar that they can create along with their own personalization of the program. But they can see, here's the date along the bottom of the scale here. Here's their Luxile on the left. And they can see, just after a few data points, if they read the yellow thin line in the middle is if they stay on pace and they continue to read that number of books at that Luxile level, then they will, just skipping ahead a few, it'll show what their reading growth will be, but it'll also give them a trajectory report. So it'll say if you read above your level, here's where it's going to go, and if you drop off, here's where it's going to go. And we do know that some kids do drop in their Luxile. So I think it's important for kids to know and understand and be able to see that report. I had teachers this year that would have students bring up that copy of that report and bring it to parent-teacher conferences and talk about it. And they'd have the computer sitting there and they'd share with the parent their favorite book that they read over the past few weeks. So lots of different ways for really bringing in parents and getting parents involved in that process. I know this screen is a little hard to see, but it's some of the teacher reports for down the road that are available. So you can see the book quiz activity. You can see the benchmark results for your whole class, for one student, for the whole school, for the whole district, for the whole ESD. However the hierarchy is set up, it can be seen. And students can also, and parents can also see that. You can see your Luxile growth, your trajectory reports on your Luxile. You can see how many books are opened, how many books are completely read, the time that the students have spent reading. I can see in one quick view what are the top rated books in my school. That's cool information to know. What are my kids in my classroom really interested in? As a teacher, coming into the beginning of the school year, think about your teachers that from the moment they walk into that door, now I know what all the Luxile is for my students. I know what they're interested in. I know two really important things at the beginning of a school year without having to test them. I have a question, yes. So the question is, do we have the ability to see if a student has opened a book, maybe read a few pages, not completed it for whatever reason? Do we have visibility to see that the student did not complete that book? Absolutely, yes. And we have the ability to see that the student didn't finish it, maybe they just opened it. But we all know, do we open a book sometimes, read a few pages and say, not interested, want to read another one? For whatever reason, we know the student did not finish that book. So we may be able to go back to that student and say, well, tell me about that. Did you not read it because you weren't interested in it? Or maybe we look at their reading log and we see, well, look, they've read 20 other books. They just weren't interested in that one. Or maybe they just wanted to take a peek into it, put it in your favorites, and read it later. So the idea is we want them to be reading and reading more and reading often. So lots and lots of ports available. You know, the sample Lexile lets you manage your class to determine proficiency groups based on results. You can quickly identify students who need additional reading practice. So there are, you know, for future use, there is a lot of ways. The reports are there 24/7. They are live reports that live in the system that
I'm doing I have to do this thing
anytime. Throughout the
it's
summer
go to
months,
meeting.
requirement
It is.
you know, one of the things that I will be doing, should your district
Mostly they just want to sell it, but you can
I'll
get
be
this
sharing
program
data
for
with
free,
someone in the district. I'll come
and
to
it kind of goes in with the Common Core. You can train all that stuff with the certain exiles,
books.
but
College,
it's a
I'll
big.
come provide that data to you.
It's what it is.
Of course it is.
Of course it is.
Yes.
And I've been at it since 11:30.
Ways. I just wanted to show lots of different ways to look at the data, to look at your leaderboards. A lot of districts that are using this are launching reading initiatives. It's the Olympic summer. So we're having a Summer Olympic Reading Challenge, and we're going to challenge kids to read a certain number of books. Capstone as a company is launching a reading challenge. So we're going to give our top readers nationally are going to win iPads. We have schools that are going to win whiteboards, interactive whiteboards for the schools that read the most. Within districts, I see districts launching their own reading challenges. I had a school in Hawaii last summer launch an initiative. The students had to read X amount of books. If they did, they get to create their own school uniform. So, and when they get back to school in the fall, they could have their own Olympic awards ceremony. So lots of different ways to get your kids motivated in reading. And we've got lots of awards and certificates all developed for you, ready to go, nothing you have to create. Real quick on Common Core, and then I want to jump into the system, and then we're going to talk about the summer reading program specifics. When we talk about Common Core, because I really want to connect this for you all, because I think it's on the minds of a lot of our districts as they're starting to roll out Common Core criteria, and really looking at how we provide those opportunities related to oral reading in particular. Not every student has a parent or a guardian at home that's able to read to them. And I'm not just talking to parents that live in poverty or families that live in poverty. I'm talking about everyday average, very busy mommies and daddies population where, you know, I've had teachers say to me, Karen, I get home at the end of the night, and by the time the kids are done with sports and I get them fed and we get the baths, I don't always get the reading done. So, you know, when you have an opportunity, especially with the audio support that's built into Myon, you know, that allows that text to be read fluently, that's really key, I think, to student growth. I have a girlfriend. I wanted to tell a little side story. I have a girlfriend in my neighborhood that moved recently, and she adopted a little girl from Japan. She's in the Vancouver School District, and I don't even know what school her daughter attends. They moved out of my district. They're living closer to downtown campus. And Jane is in the first grade, and Jane was high vocabulary and reading, not having any problems that anyone saw. And her mom called me up and she said, Karen, I can tell Jane's not comprehending what she's reading. She's not decoding the words. I can tell because she's struggling through some of her words, and then comprehension, she's not able to tell me what the story meant in some cases. So I gave her a copy of, or I gave her a demo of this program to use, and she said that she has seen significant differences. She went in and talked to the teacher about it initially, mentioned to the teacher what she saw. The teacher took another look. They retested Jane. Jane definitely had some gaps in her comprehension and decoding skills. And she said it has made, in just a couple of months, a significant difference in her ability to comprehend what she's reading and her excitement to read. So she said it's been absolutely amazing, which is really fun for me to hear, how it's made a difference in a student's life that we thought was on grade level and doing okay, but really she was having some struggles. So that oral reading, really important. Again, the opportunity for programs to assess students and really provide, often. I think of teachers who they're tracking 30 students in their classroom, and maybe half of those students have some special needs, or they're a second language learner, and how that teacher is tracking all of those students and the level of text complexity that's being offered to them, and maybe they're only getting tested every quarter on their left file. So with this, a teacher can really quickly see the students that are staying on the track, the students that aren't, the students that are dropping in their left file, that they can really red flag those kids and give them the extra help that they need. Lots of awards and reviews. In just the last year, which I'm really proud to say, District Administrator, one of our top, Reading Choice Awards, products of 2011, Teaching and Learning Awards of Excellence. We really are excited about this program. We're excited to be able to share it with you, and to have your students have the opportunity to take a look at it this summer and see what you think. Again, I think that the motivation being personalized, not just offering the library of ebooks, but the personalization piece is such a key motivator for students, all the way up through high school. I think about our middle and high school kids that are struggling, and I think, are they going to walk into the library and pick up a book that really they can read? Probably not. They're either embarrassed or they really don't even know what to choose. They're reluctant readers. Those are our reluctant readers. I also think about the kids at the other end of the spectrum, our tech students, our fourth graders or our third graders who want to read higher level content, but maybe they're not sure what to choose. So I think that there's a lot of areas, this can meet the student at wherever they are, wherever their interests lie. I think that it can meet kids of need as well as students that just for interest. So with this program, what's involved? We kept things very simple. As I came and talked to Debbie, and I said, you know what, we're like, a wink away from summer. So, we really, if we're going to launch something, it doesn't have to be complicated. So one of the things in your packets that are in front of you that I provided to you is a memorandum of understanding. And that's something that clearly expresses to you, and it should be on the right-hand side of your packet, the second page. And for those of you that are remote with us, we'll make sure that you have all of that coming to you here in the next couple of days. Okay, Tana did say that those digital files were sent to you already, so that memorandum of understanding, that is something that a district level administrator would need to sign. And that's just stating to you, that, as a company, all we're asking for is we're asking for a student login data. We're not asking for all your student data. We're asking for a CSV file that gives us a username and a password for your students. We will work with your technology person to gather that information. You've probably already got it in an Excel file. It is typically a student ID number. The password can be something as simple as read or books. It doesn't have to be complicated. But that student data, once we get your student data of the students that you would like to participate in the program, and that's probably our biggest challenge, finding the person that you're going to ask to work with me to upload your data, to get that data file, and then receiving that data. That's the hardest thing that happens. Once we have that student login information, we upload your student data. It takes us about a week or so to do. So we're asking that the signed memorandum of understanding by the 18th of May. So that gives you almost 2 weeks, not counting, well, counting today. It gives you 2 full weeks to get that back. And then by the 25th of May to have that data file. Here's the schools we want involved. here's the data, here's the student login information. So any other software program you're using where a student logs in with a unique username and a password. So that's simple. There's probably already ones that are created already in your district, so nothing has to be recreated. And then establishing, we just need a point of contact, because in the Memorandum of Understanding it talks about a communication, someone that will communicate out to the district, to the teachers, to the students, to the families. We have parent letters to go home, and I've got packets of all the parent material on the left-hand side of your packet. I have packets, information for the district on the right-hand side of the packet. So there's a letter that can go out to every single parent, letting them know about the program. There's a student login card that you can have mail merged with a student ID on it that says, here's your login information. There's going to be links that you can put on your district website to quick startup guide for parents and families that'll do a step-by-step walkthrough. And if you're interested, I'll share all that information with you. I didn't want to cut down too many trees today and printing too many materials, so I didn't print it all out for you, but all of that is available. If you, and I think Tana sent this out in the initial invite, and I don't know if you've had the opportunity to jump onto the Future in Reading website, but if you go to www.thefutureinreading.com, and it's on, I'm sure, some of your paperwork you received, then that'll also give you a lot of information. But we're going to have webinars. We're going to have recorded quick little vignettes. You know, I will tell you, of all the summer school programs that we launched last summer, not one needed this. Not one parent, not one student said, I don't know how to do this. So this is very simple. This doesn't require oversight over the summer. This is about getting your kids reading, getting them engaged in reading. Now, if, as a school district, you want to have a parent literacy night, we have a whole packet, template materials available to do a parent literacy night with invitations, agendas, PowerPoints, you know, quick little video demo, thank you letters, flyers for your school. So we have all kinds of materials already created. But the interest here is to just keep it simple and to get your kids reading. So we just getting your student data is probably the most complicated step needed in order to do that student login data. And then agreeing to your district, agreeing to letting me touch base with you on a monthly basis every summer and let you know what's happening. If you're interested in knowing more, if you're interested in saying, I'm the literacy specialist in the district, or I'm the, Title I director, or I'm the reading specialist, I want to be able to pull the data, I want you to show me how to do that, I'm happy to do that. Your teachers, you can choose for your teachers to give us your teacher information. If you would like teachers uploaded in the system as well, we can do that. So your teachers can choose to look at it over if they want. They don't have to. It's up to them. That's basically how simple it is. If there is interest in me coming out and visiting with you in the next week, I'm happy to do that. In the next few weeks, I'm happy to do that. But obviously, we're all on a tight time frame. And so, if it works for us to do that, or if you're interested and you have just a few other people you want to show it to, again, the futureinreading.com, there's quick little demos, there's lots of information there, white papers. I have provided you with some white papers today. This is about content. It's about books. The assessment piece, the data, that's there, and that's really the meat of this program. That's a discussion for down the road. Should your district be interested in pursuing this? We're going to work with the ESD. We're looking at this costing around $10 per student. I'm going to give you a big ballpark number, and that number is going to be based on numbers of students interested, numbers of districts interested. Obviously, if we can, the value of having your consortium or having your ESD work with you is to drive that price down, is to be able to have a volume discount, and so being able to do it through the ESD certainly has benefits versus one school purchasing. I mean, there was Skamania School District, you know, when I talked to Skamania, very interested. I mean, you know, what did we say? 60-some kids. So there's a little challenge in Skamania buying anything. So, you know, this is a way for our smaller school districts to be able to have the benefit of purchasing with a local food and some of those resources as well. So that's as simple as that, as I can make it. As far as, you know, down the road, would we love for you to entertain the idea of continuing My On Reader? Absolutely, but there's absolutely no obligation to do so. So we think that you're going to be so excited that you're going to find a way. So that's really what we think. On the Capstone Digital side, we will, once we receive that student login file, we do all the uploads. We provide all the marketing materials. We have both English and Spanish marketing materials available to communicate with parents and students. I tell you, one spin through the library or one spin through the lab and showing this to kids and giving them their login, they're excited. I've been in classrooms. They're excited. They are really, really excited about doing this. The video demos are available along with quick reference. That'll be available. Every school district will receive access to the teacher portal. The teacher portal has all the parent materials, has lesson plans, has book sets, has all kinds of things available. I just got a little, okay. We also will have an 800 number available this summer if there are parent questions, if there are any technical issues. We will help your parents. That is not something you have to assign anyone to. And then I will obviously be following up with your district, signing the memorandum of understanding so that you will allow me to come back to your district with some of your decision makers and have a conversation and sit down and share the data. Again, with no obligation, but they can have an opportunity to have that conversation. I am quite sure that with this promotion, we haven't announced it yet, but there are, you know, there's one region or district in every state that's being offered this. And what we would like to see happen is we would like to see the ESD 112 how to roll this out. And I think that just some of the things that I see this
It's a real ad.
across the state, very innovative.
Well, it's like when you start something, what if something happened right at the end?
But they seem very interested in being able to provide resources to their school districts.
Skamania has a problem, but they're going to try to get this
to all of your students.
because they're very small.
Consider that as well. So I know that there will be
it's going to be a challenge for them.
opportunities in regard to this specific offering.
So what does that say about us?
I want to jump in real quick, if I could, to My On Reader Live so that I can show you, because really, truly, the value of this program is the books and really being able to see the types of books and how the audio and how the scaffolds work. So I'm going to just back up here to the beginning of this book. Whenever I open a book from My On Reader,
I See Summer by Charles Ginga, illustrated by Ag Jutkowska.
Those can be turned on or off per student. So, you know, for the summer, we're suggesting leave the audio on. Bless you. We are, students can turn it off. So as a student, if I'm reading and I don't want the audio on, I can choose to turn it off. If I don't want the highlighted sentence there, I can choose to turn that off. If I don't want the highlighted words, I can choose to turn that off. As a classroom teacher using this program, I can choose which students to leave it on or off for. So that's personal to every single student. But I just wanted to start with a lower level, started at a younger level. We'll
They're
kind of
touching the third step, first grade testing. They saw the kids coming from reading really early.
you get an idea. As I click into the book and it starts to read with the audio, I won't be speaking. Is there a way to touch base with our online folks to just touch? They're all good. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, we'll just go.
I see sunshine when I wake. I see families at the lake. I see sailboats passing by. I see seagulls in the sky. I see raincoats and rain showers. I see gardens full of flowers. I see trails of snails and slugs. I see lots of ladybugs.
Am I hearing from them? Okay. Because what I also heard with the way we got this connected is it was like a delay on the audio. You don't get that. You will not get a delay at all. So I just wanted to point that out. No problem. No problem. We'll work with our technology however we need to. It's a love and hate relationship sometimes. I just wanted to point out a few things about this book. We didn't start at the front page, but if I had the hard copy book right here, it's an exact replica of that hard copy book. And I say that because there are a lot of schools that have Capstone books in their library. And so if you've got Capstone books in your library, and there's other schools that I've worked with that will buy all the companion books for Mayan because they want them both, you know, and that's great. But I want you to know that it isn't exactly a replica of the book that you're seeing. There is, as you heard, there is audio support. The audio is not a digitized voice. Hired professional actors here in the variety of different books that read the books really well, that read at that pace for that lexile, and that read with fluency. So it's really great as far as how the audio is done. There is dictionary on demand for every single page of every single book. So as a student, if I don't know a word on that page, I can click on that word. It's going to say it out loud, and it's going to give me the definition. So that's a really nice feature to have. But I want to show you a couple of different books. And I knew this was going to make me log back in because of our wait time before. I'm surprised we didn't make me do that. But that might have been maybe why we had a lag. Okay. So that book was a pre-K, first grade book. I also want to just show you another one, Duck Goat Potty, you know, for our, is it Christine? Yes, for Christine, that's here, or for any of our families that may be potty trained. So when I open this book, I'm going to see the backstory of the book. If I had my reviews on, I would see it here. There's no review for this book that I approved and posted, but if there was one, I would see it here. But I do have the info, so from a teacher or parent perspective, this is really nice. The author, the illustrator, the publisher, how many pages, what the runtime is, the lexile. It's recommended grade level for pre-K. So I can just go ahead and I can just move forward and reading that book. And as I click on that book and I just click it to read.
No, no, says Mommy. Sit on the potty chair.
This book started midway as well.
Oh, we're still reading the story. Duck goes potty.
Now, when Duck has to go, he sits on the potty chair all by himself. Remember to wash your feathers, says Mommy.
It's gotta be understood.
So we might want to ask our go-to folks to go ahead and mute
Our go-to coaches?
so that we're not hearing them speak as well. Thank you so much. So yeah, there are lots of board books, and you know, as I'm just going to go through and give you a few of my favorite books. and then I'll show you a little bit more features of the program. So Airplane Adventure was one of the books that won a parent award. So this is talking about Juan and Ana who are flying to Mexico to see their grandparents. But it also, it starts out, see if it starts at the beginning. I've been in the book before, it'll bookmark. But it also really talks about so it's great for that piece.
How to read a graphic novel. Graphic novels are easy to read. Boxes called panels show you how to follow the story. Look at the panels from left to right and top to bottom. 1, 2. Read the word boxes and word balloons from left to right as well. Don't forget the sound and action words in the pictures. 1,
Jackson went faster and faster and faster.
2,
Zoom.
3,
Look out!
4,
Oh, no!
5,
Oh, no!
6,
Smash!
7,
He went so fast that he crashed into the apple stand.
Juan and Anna are going to Mexico. They are going to see their grandma.
This is where Grandma lives. That's a long way.
It is too far to walk. It is too far to drive. They will fly on an airplane.
I can't wait.
So you get the idea.
Yeah, we get the idea.
So as I said, 10% of the content is in Spanish bilingual. So you'll see here the graphic novel of The Ugly Duckling. El Patio Feo is the Spanish version of that. We'll click into the English version of that book. And it's going to bookmark and come into the middle as well.
One summer day, Mother Duck sat upon her nest, waiting for her eggs to hatch. She had hatched many ducklings before, but this time would be, different.
You can say that again.
Yikes! They're finally hatching! How do I look? Someone call heaven, 'cause I just found an angel!
Yowza!
Goodness! You're nearly as handsome as me.
It must run in the family.
I can't argue with that.
You are all so beautiful. I'm the luckiest mother in the world. You are lucky.
Okay, I'm going to pause it there. Unfortunately, I don't get all the way through any book. Another thing that I wanted to show you for every book is the content page. So there is a content page that will give the copyright, the table of contents about the author. This one happens to have writing questions and, or writing prompts and discussion questions. A lot of the capstone books will be for more information go to or your reading toolbox. So it'll really help kids with timelines and with that deeper dive into the content or to learn more about. So there's a lot that kids and families and teachers can use as they jump into this. One of the things I wanted to show you is as you look at this login page, besides their recommended tab, which is that tab again, where they're getting the books in their Lexile level and their interest, there's lots of different genres if they're just perusing it this way. So if I click into genres, and I can see classics and favorites and historical fiction and picture books and scary stories and folk tales and science fiction and chapter books, lots and lots and lots of things, you know, different categories for students to look into. I can look at fiction only. I can look at nonfiction only. I can look at graphic novels only. I can do advanced search. So there's lots and lots of different ways. If I'm a third grader and I have a Lexile of 450, 500, when I open the program, the very first thing I'm going to see are the initial books within my Lexile. Okay? Do kids have access to all the content? Yes, they do. So as a parent, you know, it is something that I always mention to parents is, you know, it's like walking into any library.
I don't have any vowels. There's some games that I'm doing really well. You know, it's the letters. I'm catching on now.
But a kindergartner was a little frightened when they saw this.
I'm seriously, you can do 2 things at a time with this.
You can lock out books, but it's just something to be aware of. You know, just like any content a parent would look at or approve, or a student could look at. A student could log.
Oh my gosh, I was thinking that. I would be going, I have wasted a day.
You know, but it is content that kids love. And this one,
I mean, they can't quit trying to sell it.
Spanish version, we've got some different genres.
And you know what? I don't know any of these stories. That's what bothers me.
You know, as I think
trophies, we have
back to school time. I think of manners.
Good text, you know, that's good children's literature.
Types things.
But I mean, manners matter in the classroom. I mean, just all these little.
Those kinds of things. When I think of nonfiction.
Yeah, I don't know.
Science.
And you don't have.
You know, a lot of our teachers were telling me this year biographies and didn't have enough biographies available for kids, and kids were having to do a lot of research on the internet. So, you know, when I just put in, you know, when I put in biographies, we've got lots of different biographies.
I thought she did too. Biographies. She did not. She didn't. That is gross, guys.
When I think about you know, chapter books, when I think about kids' interest.
Oh, credit.
Science.
One day, he told us that he had helped the committee win a big lawsuit.
Back here to the beginning, so you can see this from the beginning.
They're talking in the background, and they're not even aware that nobody's really.
Anyway, Chapter 1, Tuesday morning. My name is Catalina Duran, but everyone calls me Cat, like the cute and fuzzy animal. Not that I'm fuzzy. Anyway, my best friends and I have been through some crazy days. The weird thing is what happens on field trip days. Whenever we go on a field trip, it seems like something's always getting stolen, or being wrecked, or going missing. For some reason, my friends and I have a knack for solving these crimes. Who are my friends? Well, I have 3 best friends. Samantha Archer, who we all call Sam. James Chu, who we all call Gum. Who we all call Egg. What can I say? We like nicknames.
Yeah, and then he feels all this back up into Holtman's
online friends.
Not expected. Turn to the track. So yeah, we have so used to that one.
So whether it's Earth and Space science, or whether it's hands-on science, if I look at it this way, you can see some of the titles there. If I go back to a visual search and I go science, I've got physical, I've got Earth and Space.
We're just looking at science.
Greg's really sick.
I'm curious because it's senior skip day.
You were on the field
science content. I've got 5 different pages.
Kylie's like,
oh, is it skip day?
Kylie's like,
down below, I get on my top books. I think read read books, most read books, and new books. So if I click on some of the new books, I can see, you know, right here, some of the books, and I can maybe look at them that way. So lots of different ways.
Backyard wildlife.
Universal buttons on the bottom.
Whoa.
Really easy for kids. and it
What
does
are
keep them actively
wolves?
involved. That's how we know that
Wolves are a
they
kind
have to
of
score. They
wild
can turn the audio
dog.
off. They can't speak
Wolves.
Oh, you know why they think there's an LLT? Because it's in
audio is
What
16.
are wolves?
but it's a 15.
Well, you know why?
Why?
Wolves.
This is originally supposed to be one of those days for math. We're going to do extra days.
Start going into questioning. Well, anyway, it's been hard audio coming through too. So, but I gave you an idea of just a few of the different books. We didn't get to some of the higher middle school, high school books that are more of a chapter book. Not as flashy, but you know, definitely are especially our graphic novels, very engaging for students. But I wanted to leave time. I see that it's 1, and I wanted to leave time. As we are winding down, I can give you all a login, so not to worry if you want to peruse through this a little bit. That's not a problem at all. I can send that out to you today. And I can give you some, you know, great titles that I love, some of my favorites to look at. And then I'm also sending you all home with a bag of our actual books that live in Mayan as well, so you can look at some of those titles. But definitely wanted to have time as we're winding down to see if there are questions as we take next steps. If there is interest, that maybe you can, you know, we can have a little discussion about that. But just to kind of find out where we're at before we close our time together today. So anybody have any questions, both remotely or not remotely?
All right.
Yes.
There we go.
They would. Yes, they sure would. The Silvendale and Saddleback both are in here, so you know, both are available. Yeah. So whether it's Spanish, I met last week with a group of migrant families, and I had 60 Hispanic parents, of which most of them did not speak English, in the room, and I had an interpreter, and I presented this to them, and they were very excited. So,
oh, it's still going.
Opportunity that we have to work with it. Now it's just Spanish and English. The company, it's not our focus necessarily for different languages, but I think that we're engaging conversation right now with a district in Oregon that is a immersion district, Woodburn School District, and so we are engaging some conversation around other kinds of content, especially Russian. So I will say that it looks like it could be a really positive project down the road, and we may have some ideas. Yeah, but very excited about that. And you know, we have.
I left it. It was still going.
Large Native American that's very interested in the Midwest, not in the Midwest, it's the Navajo Nation, and they are national, and we are looking to work with them on some additional publishers that they would like to have integrated into the content to have more Native American cultural materials available. So Capstone is a wonderful company. They're very interested in meeting the needs of our customers and in considering how we can work with it. You know, anytime you work with another publisher, you're talking about rights and content.
Can you hear us?
All of that, you know, and so they have to agree, number one, to not have to sell the book by book. They have to agree that the books are concurrent access. And I think for a lot of publishers that are just getting into ebooks, you know, that's our philosophy. And we're not going to put a price on it. We may have additional upgrade prices for publishers that come in if they're charging.
That's 1 year.
Add on that package. The books that go into this. I mean, there's 14,000 books in Capstone.
Well, I saw her cutting up all that. First grade. They were cutting up this beautiful watercolor paper.
We have a lot of content yet to go into my
paper.
Yeah. That's nice.
Oh, interest. Is there interest? Yes. Yeah. And overall, Do you feel that
Before you take it home, be sure to ask.
Yes, I know.
today that I was very clear about
Everything for my mother. I'm sorry, I can't hear this webinar.
So on the right-hand side, I think it's about the third sheet there, there is our company's licensing agreement, and that is so that you know.
This used to be a day that was, what kind of day was this then?
We are COPPA compliant. We are very, very careful with data. We don't obviously, we will maintain your security and the security of your data, students' names and, login information. Should the districts decide to continue in the fall, we would probably do another upload of your data so that we could put kids in the right classes. But at least for a summer launch, very simple to do, and communicating it to parents. And there are districts that are communicating it in a variety of ways, whether it's the superintendent getting on and doing a phone tree call. We've had superintendents do that with a phone tree that said, we're introducing this program. Click onto the link on our website. We're issuing a challenge for our students to read 8 to 10 books over summer, and it would be really exciting to see what kids will do with it. So I'm available. I live local. I'm 10 minutes away. I'm happy to come out and meet with you personally. I have time this week in particular. Next week I don't, but the week after I will. But if you would like me to call with you or WebEx with you or whatever, with available to do that next week. But I will be out of state next week, so I won't be able to personally meet with you. But I'm available, so don't hesitate to give me a call. Should you have interest, I would welcome that. Any other questions? Tana, does it look like so from our online folks? I'm going to. Okay. Right. Okay. If you are remotely joining us, if you would like to open your chat window, you are more than welcome to send in a question, and we will address that as well. I'm going to take a question from the room. Yes. The question is, does every book have a quiz at the end? Yes. There is a quiz at the end of every book. That is optional to turn on or off. A lot of our districts that are doing summer reading are turning it off because teachers aren't looking at it, and they just want the kids to be reading for the pleasure of reading and not to have to think about the quiz. Some parents, though, last summer loved it. They loved having those quizzes on. It is a 5-question multiple choice quiz. It's a quick little quiz at the end of the book. It tells the students
probably direct questions.
Correct or incorrect. It does not stop them from reading. They get done with it, they go right back to the library. So that is something that can be turned on or off. It is optional. And also, again, the audio is optional to be turned on or off. We recommend that you leave it on. The scaffolding, the highlighted text, the highlighted words, that's optional. Turn it on or off. So totally up to you. Any other questions? Hannah asked what questions the district, you may have from your district administrative group that you might anticipate. What questions would there be?
Oh, God, I got to get out of this. Do you think they'll know?
I think it's okay. Sure, it doesn't matter if they know or not.
Right.
Clicking OK will cause me to leave the meeting.
It is a crazy time of the year. I don't know that there's not one, but it is a crazy time of the year. And I know that it's testing time. This is not meant to be painful in any way. Very, very simple process to implement. If you're willing and you have a go-to person, typically it is your IT person in the district that I usually work with that will get me the CSV file. It is having their communication. It is knowing them. And that can happen through an introduction through email very quickly, a quick phone call. I can send them out the CSV file to give them an example of what we need. It is getting that back in a timely manner. And then who's going to be responsible for maybe communicating it to parents? And I mean, obviously you'd want your principals to know. But, you know, introducing it through them just taking a quick check into the Future of Reading website and then getting the marketing materials that are available, such as the flyer, the parent letter. You know, and this, we talked about that with Debbie and with Tana about how that communication piece, and we talked about, well, possibly the secretary that already handles mail merges could put that student data onto the already templated, you know, student login cards that would go into their last day packet, you know, or their report cards packet to go home, and also posting on your website, you know, letting parents know on your website, you know, we have an Olympic reading challenge and we have a free reading program for you to have access to all summer. So there's a lot of different ways. And if your district is interested, I will handhold and walk you through every step. I will help you in any way I can, you know, to make it as simple as I can make it for you to be able to introduce it to your families over the summer. So, any other questions? And do I need to repeat that question, Tana? So I'm going to repeat a question that Tana just brought up. From the ESV's perspective, they would like to know what your next step might be, whether it is, I would like to visit the Future in Reading website today and talk to our leadership and then get back to you by Wednesday. The ESV themselves would like to know in what way are you considering this and what would your next steps be. And if you could get back to Debbie or Tana in the next 48 hours, a couple days, if you're interested, let them know, and then we can help facilitate what your next steps might be as well. We will also electronically send out the Memorandum of Understanding. I've put it in your packets today, but we will also electronically make sure that each one of you that attended today have a copy of it. And you'll all have my contact information. You have my card in your container, in your little packet there. I will also be following up with an email today to you, thanking you for attending and giving you this electronic version of the MOU. And then, you know, there is no question that it's unreasonable. So any questions you have, just shoot them out to me. I will also send you, in your packet, there are the IT requirements. So your IT person, they'll ask you that, you know, I'm sure immediately. So those are there, and I will also send that to you electronically today so that you have that available to share, as well as the CSV file. I can send that to you electronically so you have that to share with your IT folks as well. Yeah, so I will, yeah, I'm getting some ahs and oohs, I know. The question was regarding handheld devices, iPads, Kindle Fires. Right now, Mayan runs in Flash. We do run on some of the Droid tablets. We do run on Kindle Fire. However, our iPad release will not be available until September. So we are launching our iPad app at ISTE this year. That is in June in San Diego, or prototype. We are very deliberate in our process with the iPad. We want to be able to release our iPad app once we know that students can go away from the internet. We want them to be able to download books, go away from the internet, be able to read, come back, upload data, and keep reading. So those will be ready by fall. That will be ready by fall. It will not cost a single dime more. There will not be any additional cost related to the iPad app. But yes, it is coming. We're all excited, as well as all of the other handheld devices. There will be, once we've completed all of their checklist specifications, because there's a zillion different devices out there now, but that all can be found on our website as well. But for right now, it is web-based. Parents can access it, PC, Mac, whatever, and Kindle Fire. And again, some of the Droids you can run it on, but it is flash-based. So. We're I think, going to be recommending Google Chrome. That will be, I think, available for the iPad. I think by summer, I think there's a lot of changes happening this summer with HTML5, and that's going to, all those specs will be available on our site. But I will ask that, if you give me a list specifically, I will go back and check with that. Right. Right. And we'll keep you updated. Tana said that she's going to be looking at the IT requirements and will be posting information or getting information out to folks as far as what their technology needs may be. But right now we have no issue in running MyOnReader on your web browser, whether it's internet, or whether it's Firefox or or whatever you may be using. But I think our future recommendation is going to be Google Chrome. I think that's what most of our folks are moving towards. So, no, it does not require software. Right. Flash is a free download, so that's not something that will impact our parents in any way either. It's pretty standard on what most computers have. Any other questions? Yes, I will be sending you out a temporary login. I'll give you my demo account login that you can log into. In the meanwhile, I can tell it to you if you would like to write it down. Yeah, let's do that. I'll let you dictate for me. So you're just going to go to www.myon.com, and then when you log in, you'll click the login button, and then you'll click under school. You'll just start typing my last name, which is Haddaway, Haddaway, and it'll automatically prompt Haddaway Elementary School, and then the username is student7, and the password is student7. That's a generic demo account, so you can play around there all you want. If you get up to the right-hand corner, you can even look at the account. The data is not going to be anything of significance because I open and close books all day long, but you will see that I am a struggling reader because I never get through a book, but I'm interested in a lot of them. So feel free to log into that account and peruse all you'd like. You can even share it if you would like with others in your district who may want to take a look. Any other questions? It is just the highest number of books read. So the student, the capstone, we will have visibility into the student nationally who read the most, the top students nationally that read the most, the school that's read the most. So this is a national, it's a national reading contest. So I think it's always fun if you take, the question was on the Capstone Reading Challenge for the summer, where Capstone is giving away an iPad to the top readers. Capstone is giving away a whiteboard to the top schools who've read the most in the system. And you actually log on to the website and you register for the Summer Reading Olympic program. And once you've registered, then they track how many kids are reading how many books. And that's what they're looking at, number of books read, and top students that read the top amount of books, and schools that read the top amount or the most amount of books. But as a district, I think it could be a really fun, motivating way to get your parents involved, to have your own Summer Reading Olympics. There are certificates that you can download off of the portal that will give you access to that say top reader in the school. You can have your own little ceremony at the back to school in the fall. You can do your own little Summer Olympic ceremony. We have districts that have a reading challenge trophy, and every month at the superintendent's board meeting, they'll invite the school in the district who's read the most, and that superintendent trophy will move from school to school depending on who read the most, or the classroom that read the most, and some of the students and the teacher will come to that board meeting and they'll be presented with that award. So there's lots of different ways to motivate your kids, get them involved, and get them excited about reading. Absolutely, absolutely. So the question was, can the ESD, if they elect to move forward with the summer reading program, the complimentary summer reading program, participate in the Capstone Summer Olympic competition? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We'll do anything to get kids reading. That's the challenge, to keep our kids reading. And I would love the fact that they would choose a book over a video game, as I'm sure you would as well, at least occasionally. Well, yes, we have one more question. We'll let Debbie come up. She has a question, so I'm going to pass the baton to her.
It's a question that I didn't think of until this morning. But when we're talking about summer reading programs and we're talking about kids and kids reading from home, now we're starting to talk about connectivity from home, right? And I've sat in several conversations with other district leaders and even my counterparts here at the ESD where we have great ideas, but then, what stops us is, is it an equitable program because not all kids have access from home? So is that something that's on your minds at all? Okay. So in my leadership meeting this morning with my counterparts here at the ESD, we decided that there might be time, this might be a time for us to do a survey of your students in some way. I'm not sure how this would be done. It's just an idea. But would there be an opportunity for us collectively to get a snapshot of our region? What is their connectivity like at home? Do they have online access to the internet through computers or handhelds or phones or whatever? And it could be one survey that we could develop here at the ESD and you could use with your students. It would give us a lot of information about our kids and how they're connected at home and what their resources are. Is there any interest in doing that? It could have to be coordinated, and it'd have to be, I don't know, I'd probably need to kind of work with some of you to make sure that the questions we're asking are good for, provide good data for you. And then we'd have to kind of talk about, well, what's the timeline for that survey, and so on, and how do you get the survey done and all that. But even a sampling would be a great piece of data.
And along that line, Debbie, let me just interject that there is some new research at the University of Nevada regarding connectivity with our parents at home in our communities. And the information that they've been researching has come back incredibly high, incredibly positive to the amount of students, even in high poverty, that do have connectivity in one form or another. So I would be happy to share that information with you all as well. But it's a really good piece. You know, in the big picture of things, as we started our conversation out about what our superintendents were telling us and telling the ESD that their needs were in the future as we move more and more towards digital technology resources, looking at, you know, that BYOD or BYOT, bring your own device or bring your own technology, that's the direction of it that we're all heading. And so it is good information to have, you know, because that way you at least know, okay, then what do we need to address or how do we need to address it? What we're finding is with this program, even students that are living on a Navajo reservation down in New Mexico, that some of them don't even have running water, they're going to their Boys and Girls Club and they're getting access. So motivation, again, being the key factor in this. If kids are interested, they're going to find a way. So I definitely encourage you in that way. And, you know, I'm so glad that Christy with the early childhood before and after school programs is here today, too. As you think about community, that's what I was so excited about this Hillsborough project, because they thought about this as a community of readers and how do we get our community stakeholders involved. So I would love to have that conversation with you all over the summer. I would love to meet some of your community stakeholders and maybe start that conversation about how we can get them to the table and get them involved, which is only going to benefit all of us for college and career readiness. But thank you, Debbie. I appreciate your time.
Is there anybody that would like to work with me on that, on developing a survey? Just a few questions, a handful of questions, or that I could come to you and say, hey, do these questions look okay? Do you already have survey data about your students' connectivity? Where are you from? Okay, great. Has anyone else done any kind of data collection like that as well? Okay. 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 All right. Perfect. Okay. Okay. And for the remote audiences, if you are interested in helping review some basic questions to ask in a survey, please let Tana Colwell know. Again, she's your point of contact for this. Okay? All right. Was there anything else you wanted to say?
Thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. I have also just added on the screen for you the futureinreading.com website, and then my name and my email address as well. So feel free, as I said, I'm available this week. Should you want me to come out and answer any additional questions or visit with you personally, I'm happy to do so. Thanks so much for your time. I know this is a busy time of year, and I really appreciate you coming today. And I really appreciate Debbie and Tana in particular, and for their help in pulling this together, and Nellie for your assistance. Thank you so much.
And we'll look forward to hearing back from all of you as far as your next step. And you've got some timelines: May 18th for the Memorandum of Understanding, May 25th for your CSV file with your student login and password information. Okay. All right. All right. Thank you.